So can we begin with how you started working at the railroad?
I started in the early 70s. Started out working on the line up there as a welder, and we welded patches in the railroad cars, and then whatever maintenance that they needed on that particular car, we did that. And then they had crews that sandblasted them down and painted the cars, and when they come out of there, they look really good.
So the minute that I got out of training is the minute that I started the job as an engineer. I made one round trip to Callan as an engineer. Was very nervous. Didn't have anybody to look over and say, what do I do now? And when I got back to Grafton, I talked to some people, and they said, well, you made it up and back, that's the main thing.
Hired for several years, so we ended up, I'll say, gaining seniority by virtue of not having anyone hired for probably 6 or 8 years there in Elkins. And I think we were probably close to the last ones that were hired in Elkins because of things that occurred later on with the Western Maryland Railroad, where they discontinued service east of Elkins toward Thomas and took that coal over through Grafton.
How long did you, how long were you temp carman?
I worked that job for about 2.5 years, and then we had a locomotive machinist retired, and a laborer that I worked with come out and said, hey, you ought to go put in for that machinist job. He said, you were a machinist in the Navy, weren't you? I said, yeah, I was a machinist mate, which has nothing to do with locomotive maintenance or anything like that. But he went and talked to the general foreman, and they called me out to the office, and he told me to go put in an application, so I had to go back over to the unemployment office and reapply. And that was the end of my carman career, and I went to locomotive lead machinist eventually.
My name's Ted Ogden, and I live at Alpena here in Randolph County. And I worked roughly 5 years on the track here in Elkins and around Laurel Bank and Cheat Bridge and Baird. And got laid off every year during the winter time. So finally I started my own business and never went back. I did keep my seniority.
What does that mean?
I could go back to work. I just take a physical. I could go back to work anywhere that my seniority would carry me.
I started working for the railroad. Actually, it was a little tourist railroad first, and the owner said he could get me on a position for the chassis system, which with his help I did do. So that was in 1976. We left home, I guess, Labor Day, and went south and worked on the tourist railroad called the Allegheny Central Railroad for Jack Showalter.
How old were you?
40 years old.
40 years old, okay.
Yeah. And he got me a temporary, Mr. Showalter got me a temporary job in a cow barn.
In a cow barn?
It was one of the local businessmen had set up a machine shop in his father's cow barn.
Oh, okay.